Hey everybody, before we get started today, just wanted to point out that we are now live day and date on YouTube as well as all the pod-catching programs that we all know and love. So if you want to head over to YouTube and give us a like, more importantly a subscribe, heck even share the channel with some friends that would be like-minded, here's the deal. If we can get over 100 followers, we can start doing this show live on YouTube, which is a terrible idea for many reasons, but a wonderful idea for many more. So if you want to support the show, the easiest way, it's free to you, head over to YouTube, check out our channel, and give us a subscribe. Heck, like the videos. People like that too. Share the videos. Why not? Anyway, on to the show.
It's the Remedial Field Class Podcast. Travis and George and Dan. Through the Remedial Field Class Podcast. Take your seat. It's time to begin.
Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
And George just spent hours isolated in the Antarctic or maybe the Arctic, depending on which movie he watched last. We made George watch two different versions of The Thing. How you doing, George?
Pretty good.
Are you all thinged out?
Very much so.
He's so thinged out.
Do you think one thing is enough for you? You don't need two things?
I
I mean, two things.
think
Two things is a lot of things for one night.
that's true.
Some would say.
That's true. The Thing from Another World, I tried to watch 3 times.
If this were a video podcast, you'd see me shaking my head. You've got a color bias, man. You do
It's not a color bias.
you
It is
don't-
not a color bias.
You don't see the black and white movies as equal to color movies.
But he got through Psycho, and it was his favorite movie until we watched Silence. So
Yeah,
Well,
it's not
all
a color
right.
bias.
All right.
So,
he's just working.
The Thing from Another World was a slog. And I ended up doing what you told me to do, which was watch the scene where they find the spacecraft
Holy cat.
and watch the special effects or the fire effects
Oh, golly.
and watch the electric effects. I ended up doing that tonight before I watched John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay. Well, hey, let's put a pin in that. Let's talk about the old thing later, because I think the main event, the thing people are here to know, is what did you think of John Carpenter's classic, The Thing?
I don't even know what the F I just watched.
Wow.
Whoa. Now you
82,
are
by the
are
way.
you within punching distance of one Travis? Because he might smack you.
I'm not saying it wasn't good. I'm just saying what the F. You get me?
I don't know.
We need more detail. Like, which F
yeah,
are you
like,
having?
What do you mean by, what are you not effing?
Like, The Thing
Okay.
was anything. And
It's a monster on a molecular level.
yeah.
Kind of like COVID.
It's a form of
Yeah, a
life
little bit, yeah.
you are not equipped to understand, man.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect.
It was Jurassic Park with cellular monsters.
How does that come out of someone's brain, dude? Like,
Well, I know it was based on a short story, and then when obviously Carpenter loves the original, and they always said back then they didn't have the technology to, portray the creature the way it's written.
right.
So when he got the opportunity, he read the script on just the scene where they test the blood. And
That
he's
was
like-
the best scene
and he's
ever.
like, I want to make this movie. And
Yes.
then he got, people involved. He got one of the best makeup artists of the time.
Some would say all time. One of the best.
He's
probably
one
three.
of them. Yeah. And he basically gave them drawings So this is what I would do. And then once they looked at the storyboards and drawings, they're like, can you do this? He's like, I don't know, but we're going to try.
Yeah.
And that's what we got.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad for 1982.
It's not bad for now.
It's all practical, right?
Oh, man. Everything
it's about
except
as
for that,
practical
that
it gets,
high-tech viral simulation.
Yeah, the
That's-
asteroids.
That's the only CGI in the entire thing. And yeah, it looks like a game of Pitfall.
Mm.
Worse. Look like Pong. Yeah, it was bad.
It was wonderful. I mean, it's right up there with the Westworld computers drawing the Windows 3.1 screensaver image.
It was funny when we first started watching it, my son's like, what's up with this dog?
Yeah, what's up with that
And
dog?
I'm like, I don't know. What's wrong with the dog?
I think at first you're supposed to be like, what's up with these Norwegians trying to
Yeah,
kill this
why-
dog?
Well, no, he obviously was saying that, but I'm talking about when the dog was walking around the complex and he was just
Oh,
kinda
gotcha.
zoning in on things.
Yeah, looking like he was thinking about things that dogs shouldn't be thinking about.
Right.
Is the way I would describe it.
But yeah, I mean, they pull you right into it. I mean, that whole helicopter thing, you're sitting there going, why are they trying to gun this dog down? I thought he was trying to trank it,
Mm.
but then I realized there was no darts coming out of that thing.
Well, did you recognize one of the all-stars of Season 2 of the Remedial Film Class podcast, your friend and mine, the Heckler & Koch G3A3, being used by the Norwegian sharpshooter who was not very sharp with his shooting?
No,
That's the
it's not
same
good.
gun that we just keep seeing in every movie, and I keep going, why? But this time it makes sense. So I'm not saying why, I'm saying thank you.
Right? Does that gun pop up in GoldenEye?
No.
Is that what the no?
No,
I
that
have
one.
a question.
Okay.
How do you know he was missing the dog?
That's a fair point. They don't do any
That's
kind
true.
of bullet impact on the snow, so you never see if it's a miss or if he's just bulletproof.
Right. Well, we find out later that the creature cannot absorb and or imitate metals. So it wasn't absorbing the bullets, but we don't know if any of them were landing.
Couldn't absorb bullets. What do you
I
mean?
guess it could absorb them.
Yeah, that's what I'm
it
saying. Like if
wouldn't-
a bullet went into a dog that's
Not really a
that's
dog
like a molecular
imitation.
yeah, can it just it's like, oh, bullet hit my liver. Let me just recreate the liver real quick.
Who says that thing even has a liver inside, man? I mean, the guts on
Well,
that one thing were pretty realistic, but were they anatomically
It would make
correct?
sense.
I don't know.
It would make sense because what it appeared what they autopsied was the thing trying to imitate a human. And so when they autopsied it, it had normal organs. So I'm just assuming the dog had normal dog organs.
I wonder if it got full function, or if those are all just a reasonable facsimile, like a 3D printed, aesthetically appropriate but non-functional human organ copy, or if that thing is legit making humans. Because at that point, is it actually a human?
I think it's actually making humans. And this is the reason why I think it's doing that. Because the scene with the blood, right?
To be fair,
It's-
that's half the movie, but I know what you mean.
That's true. Those
What?
the scene with the blood 1, scene with blood 2.
There's a
No,
lot
the
of
scene
blood
with
in
the
this
blood
movie,
and
bro.
the hot
the blood test.
the hot wire.
The copper.
Yeah, the hot copper.
That hot copper action.
Yeah, so that scene, the kind of the whole point of that is that one cell is it's all part of
It's going to defend itself.
right,
even one cell,
exactly.
right?
It's going to try and survive even if it's just one cell's worth. So with that in mind, it seems like it's taking DNA and copying it.
Right.
So I think it would be functional.
Well, we don't get a completed human transformation that gets autopsied. So we don't know if all the organs go in the right spot. We don't know if it completely is an exact replica or if it's just a visual replica, but the insides are kind of We know it creates organs, but we don't know if they put them in the right place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't see any way it would be creating organs that are on the inside of you that it can't see. If it's not just boom, 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 reading the DNA and copying that.
Right. And it copies it pretty well because it copied the bad heart of the one, is it Norris? Yeah, it copies a bad heart because he has a heart attack. He doesn't die from anything other than a heart attack.
But then it improves the design by giving him a trap door right there for easy replacement later.
Right.
But then also, if you're copying DNA, I'm making a huge assumption here, but like if you copy DNA, wouldn't it be like that's like the building block? So if you copied the DNA, you wouldn't have exactly the same heart in the same condition.
But wouldn't it copy the same cells?
Yeah, but it would be a brand new heart without the 50 some years of abuse. If it was copied from DNA.
But
today.
what if it was kind of like a, you know, they kind of get into mutations whenever, like, if your cells are going to multiply and do their normal thing. I'm wondering if there is a mutation that happens where it copies even bad cells or bad damaged material, damaged tissue. Because in the end, he did have a heart attack. So it's like...
Yeah, but why did he have a heart attack? Like, it's not... I mean, I don't know.
He winced 3 times by himself. Like, no one else was there. And then he grabbed his
that seems
once.
to me like it's like a clogged artery type of thing. That's like 50 years of abuse type of thing, which if you were copying that guy's DNA and cloning him today, he wouldn't have clogged arteries.
Right.
He would have clear arteries.
But then why would he be overweight?
I don't know. It's a great question.
I don't know how science works.
Maybe my DNA theory is just off, and it's some other shit I don't understand.
When I don't know that all these guys are one-to-one photocopied human copies. I think some of them are infected humans on their way to being like all fucked up, like that dog that splits into a Stranger Things. What are those things called? The monsters.
Oh, the
Demogorgon. Yeah, the dog that becomes a Demogorgon with a giant tongue. Like that was a dog, and now it's becoming, something else. So it could just be that all these guys are infected by, but not yet completely overrun and then replaced by.
Did you notice that flour was actually created out of like 10 or 12 dog tongues?
Oh, geez.
Like that's what comes out. It's like dog tongues with teeth on them. Like it's just it's like I guess because they caught it mid transformation, it just kind of went wonky with its DNA. So then everything that it was doing was obviously tissue. And it was the canine tissue, but it was all in the wrong spot. So you had like the head that came out that looked like a flower. It was actually, if you look at it, it's a bunch of tongues in like a symmetrical kind of shape.
Gotcha.
So I mean, there's a lot of detail in this. They did a lot of their the art team pretty much did their homework.
And at least they made the pseudoscience like somewhat believable and gave you some like indication of the mechanism if it didn't get too far into describing it to the point that you could like pick it apart as being unrealistic. They just gave you enough to go on. Still made a lot more sense than time travel from an underground future that you can't breathe the air. So points to the thing.
I'm still not recovered from that.
Oh my gosh, neither am I.
Wow.
So that'll be a good segue to the Norwegian camp. Like, to me, one of my favorite parts of the movie Aliens is not knowing what the hell happened in that colony. So when you see the camp and you see everything going on, but you just see the results, you don't see what they went through. Like, I always thought that would be a cool movie, is to show us what that happened there. But then that's what the 2011 The Thing was. It was the story of the Norwegian camp.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that prequel. It came up when I searched The Thing.
It
on Prime.
Apparently wasn't good. So.
Oh, okay.
So they blew it.
Well, you know, guys, I've got a little bit of interesting trivia for you. If you can muscle through an hour and a half of black and white kind of machismo in an Alaskan outpost, all the stuff that happens in the Norwegian camp, that's the events of the first thing from the 50s. So
Yeah, the footage that they find is made purposely to look like the old movie.
Yeah.
But then they went ahead and actually did it.
I did notice that. Like I guess it's like what I took away from the scene where they find the ship.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, in John Carpenter's, when they're looking at the tape of the Norwegians finding it, they're like all just standing in a circle in the snow, kind of in the same way that in this same way that they did in the 1950s version.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely noticed that because it was just
there's little nods throughout.
It's you can't miss it basically.
Right.
well, in the block of ice that's got a big hunk missing and is partially melted.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
straight out of the movie.
Straight out of the first thing.
I did actually watch the first hour of
It's so good.
the first thing before I fell asleep, and I don't think it's because the movie was boring. I think it's because I'm so damn tired by the time I get to the movie. That's what it is.
Morning movie. That's what you need.
It's like a Sunday morning movie is what I need to do.
You need some morning Hollywood is what you need.
That's good. I like that.
You might have to drop the mistress.
Morning Hollywood.
Is the book club taking over?
No, nobody's participating in the book club.
Do you fall asleep during their movies, George?
Yeah.
I do.
Sometimes.
I do. Sometimes I don't even watch their
that's
movies.
how it begins. You start, and then you're too tired for your wife.
No. If I don't think that this movie's gonna be good, like with the movie club, like it's not even a movie club. I think it's just like
it's coffee clash.
It's an informal thing.
Yeah.
But like it's like, oh, my movie pick this week is, Silver Linings Playbook, and I'd be like, I ain't watching that.
Yeah, no.
Like,
Thank you for saving 2 hours of my week.
yeah. It was like, what was it with the other one? It was a Nick Cage movie. It was like Bad Detective or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I ain't watching that shit.
Yeah, no.
You didn't need to watch that one either. The original, I hear, is pretty good. I've never taken the time to hang out with Mr. Keitel long enough to decide for myself, but someday.
Hmm.
And then it's like Blade Runner 2049, and I'm like, this is 4 hours. Nope.
Ugh.
Yeah. Just
it feels like 6.
Seems like 20. Yeah. Seriously.
We should just make fun of movies for an entire episode.
We should do like Mystery Science Theater, have the silhouettes and everything, and have us just make fun of the movies.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
At that point, we could just have silhouettes making fun of our podcast.
We could do that too, yeah. Actually, I know a couple guys that would be pretty good at that. Like if we wanted to like actually have a couple of silhouette guys that aren't us make fun of us.
Make fun of us?
Yeah, I know a couple of guys that would be good at that.
They might expose my weaknesses.
Oh, well.
There goes nostalgic Travis again. Here comes another impression.
Oh, can I talk about the ship scene in this movie versus the first one?
Hey, George, what do you think about the ship scene in this movie versus the original?
It's so much better in this one. Because not that the original's bad. I don't want to say the original's bad. It's just the original didn't have a huge like original vision. It was just the original was just kind of like, here's this basic script and we're going to play this out almost like a play, like something. It wasn't very complex or whatever. Anyway, in the original, like they're standing in a circle and it might have been like a 30 or 40 foot circle, whatever. In this movie, it's like this thing is buried what looks like 80 feet down.
Yeah, it's like the size of a football field.
And it's like, like 200 yards wide. And like they have to climb down into this pit to like get to it. It was
and
massive.
They could have done that for the original because it's just a matte painting. It's not like they've been doing matte paintings for years.
In this movie, it's massive and it's beautiful. And it's just way better.
The thing is beautiful. So George, don't forget that the original takes place up like near the North Pole. So they don't necessarily have enough ice available for them to get that deep. Like they'd be underwater at that point potentially. One of the major changes with the Thing 82 is that they move it to Antarctica, which changes a whole bunch of things. But we can get into that later if you want to keep on your blowing how great the the ship.
I don't know. It
scene
doesn't
is.
matter. I just like the way it looked in this one.
It was
The
pretty.
way it looked in this one was like it's just like that was really well done. That looked way better.
What are your feelings about the first reveal of like the transformation, the dog in the dog cage? Because I remember when I was a kid, that scene freaked me out.
I didn't really. I don't know. I was kind of like, it was so different from what I expected. You know, like
Right.
this, like the spaghetti and like almost looks like spider legs and like it's just, it always looks like a different thing every time it like
Right.
tries to transform.
I think
or
it's
whatever.
explained that it has, I don't want to say muscle memory, but it's basically has been doing this forever. Like for hundreds of years, it's been mutating and assimilating to different, wherever its environment is, or whatever. So that's why you start, the more you see the creature, the more unbelievable it gets, like with the teeth and the the huge, like almost like a T-Rex head, and like the big clunky arms. Like it's stuff that's not from here. It's not just going to be the dog.
Right.
So when you get the spider legs, like all these things starts assuming the stuff that it remembers when it's threatened, and it's not necessarily going to be just the dog. It starts, other things start coming out.
Yeah, but it was way different than what I expected.
Right.
That was my reaction. I'm like, what the heck is this?
I'm really interested to know what it looked like when it was in the block of ice, but they never really give you that.
Right.
So for my purposes, I'm going to imagine it looks like Frankenstein with a big old gray head and long claw-like arms. Yeah. Yeah.
Mayor. So your nostalgic Dan is coming out. You're going to have the old guy as the original creature.
I saw the newer thing, Carpenter's thing first, and then went back because my uncle is a huge fan of The Thing from the 50s and Them. Those are like his movies, and I'd seen Them 100 times. Them, by the way, maybe the best movie of the 1950s. Sorry, Hollywood Oscar nominees, you ain't gonna beat Them. And don't tell George what Them is, because we'll watch it at some point. Yeah. So, George, are you aware that you've actually seen the "Hey, we're all gonna stand in a circle around the ship" scene before?
In what movie?
In Halloween.
When?
Yeah, Lindsay is watching it on TV, and they show that whole scene where they're, it's a circle. Holy cat! I love Holy Cat. It's one of my favorite things.
It's like the third time you said that.
I was watching. I'm obsessed with it. It's so funny. I was watching this with the kids this weekend because I was doing my homework. Hadn't seen it in a while. And after he says "Holy cat," my oldest goes, "I think he meant to say something else, but they changed it because it's a movie." He's pretty smart. He's paying attention. He also told me, keep in mind he's 8 years old. He said, "You should show people this version and then have them watch the new version." I was like, yeah, I fucking should. Thanks, kid.
It's usually how it works.
Yeah, man. So thanks, George, for muscling through as much of that disaster of a 50s movie that you could.
It wasn't that bad.
It's so good.
It wasn't that bad. I was just very tired.
Maybe if you hibernate, you can go back to it.
Yeah.
You have a nice little stretch. And then sit and watch it.
Thank God for my wife.
Thank God for you.
Because right after dinner, like tonight, I fell asleep. And she like made me a cup of coffee and like woke me up, and she was like, "You got to watch a movie tonight." And I was like, "I got to watch 2 movies tonight." So it's a little late.
In my house, I'm like, it's like 10:30, and I'm like,
No,
I have
seriously,
a movie to watch.
without Meg, this would have been a repeat of the last time we tried to record, where I was just sleeping the entire time.
He's like, abort.
Now that you mentioned it, Dan, I do recall that the Thing was playing in on the TV during Halloween.
Now, that's important for a couple of reasons. For one, it shows that Carpenter was a fan of the movie long before he had the rights or the standing to remake it. And that's pretty cool. But also, it kind of informs the Michael Myers behavior, the original Thing, and the movement of the Thing monster, and this kind of stalking. When's he going to appear? Boo! There he is. Like his attack style is very much similar in that approach, at least, to that of Michael Myers. Now, instead of having, the scary score, you instead get like the Geiger counter that. I don't know if you watched any parts with the Geiger counter that they carry around that like flashes more intensely the closer it gets. So it like builds visual tension as he approaches, and then like the dame, right? The one lady in the entire base will like call out the readings at some point, like, oh, it's getting closer, like raising the tension of the room, just missing the Carpenter score of Halloween that would have, taken it up a notch.
Let's talk about the score.
Of which movie?
Of this movie.
The 80s one? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I always... How long have I known this movie? 35 years? I always thought it was a Carpenter score, and it's not. And I'm like, not only is it amazing, but it's done in his style. And I'm just like, I'm still going to say it's a Carpenter score, even though it's not. I mean, it sounds like something he would do, but it's so eerie, and I don't know. It sets a tone very quickly.
Well, and it's Ennio Morricone, who I'm a huge fan of because I like Italian movies, but everybody loves because of his work in the westerns. I mean, where would we be without Morricone and the Ecstasy of Gold, right? Like, woo, yeah. But the thing about the Thing score that I love. It follows the same law as the John Williams rule for scoring a movie, which John Carpenter also is guilty of. Do you guys ever listen closely to the melody of these movies?
Yeah, each character has like a little bit of their, little bit like a couple bars that belongs to specific character or specific situation. So when you hear it, it helps tell the story.
Well, yeah, it does, and it identifies kind of who has the momentum in the story. You can't deny that. Good Lord, think about what Hans Zimmer did with the Joker's theme in Dark Knight. Undeniably awesome. Actually, but he's guilty of the same thing I'm going to bring up with the Batman version of that score. If you were to hum, now don't do it too closely, Travis, because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But if you were to hum for me the Thing main opening bit of the score, the part that everybody would recognize, how does it go?
Like the heartbeat, and then
it just goes. It's a lot of doot 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 doot.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to
so
hum,
basic.
If you were to hum for me. If you were to hum the Superman theme from the '78 Superman. How does that go?
Right?
Yeah, man. And right. And then Star Wars, right? John Williams again.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. Okay. All of these things have the same thing in common. Danny Elfman's Batman does it too. Dun 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 dun. Right? The Batman theme in Dark Knight. Dun 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 dun. Okay.
Yep.
What every one of these things does, even
Sing
Halloween,
along if you know it.
Even Halloween, right? Dude. And actually, I hate to admit this, guys, as the composer of our theme song, I stole their trick to write our theme song, and that's why that motherfucker gets stuck in your head.
Right.
All any of these are doing, and nobody's going to admit to it, although I'm going to ask John Carpenter about it when I get a chance. What these guys are doing is they're sitting down at a piano, and they're saying the name of the movie as they hit the keys until they find something they like. Case in point, The Thing. The Thing. Halloween, 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 Halloween. Star Wars, Star Wars. Superman,
Right.
Superman, Superman. Superman. Batman.
Wait a minute. Wait.
All of them. Every
on.
single one of them.
Hold your horses for a second.
Every single one of them. It's why it seems appropriate.
Isn't that how all music goes? Because you have your written lyrics, and then you play a melody, and then you take the lyrics and you add them to the melody.
Not necessarily.
Well,
Not
I mean,
a bit.
a lot of
No,
the songs do
This
that.
is not how songs go. This is not how you write songs. This is how you write silly movie scores, but this is not how you'd write like a folk song.
But I'm just going by like if you had the written word for a play or something, and someone said, okay, because we've done this in class, like sing this, and you could take those written words, no matter what it is, and put it to a melody that they give you.
Keep in mind, most of these songs are literally looking at one phrase or one word. So it's not like, once upon a time in a galaxy far away. Like, that'd be a Broadway musical. That'd be different. This is literally
that would definitely be a different theme song.
This is literally like, they're like, what's the name of the movie, John? Oh, it's Halloween. Halloween. There it is. I got it. I got a song that sounds like the one word in your title, and it goes over and over again. So it'll get stuck in your head.
Do Jurassic Park. Do it. Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park. I could do that with anything. You could take Jurassic Park and put it to the Batman theme if you want.
But I don't know, man.
Jurassic Park.
You could.
Yeah, anything.
I don't
as long
know,
as you know the
man.
words and you know the melody. I'm not arguing with you. I'm
But
just
this
saying
is how I wrote. If you go
All
back
right, take
to
Jurassic Park and make it Halloween.
Jurassic Park.
Nope.
No, I guess
You can't do it because
Can't
it's
do
in
it?
3/4.
Jurassic.
No.
It's in
Jurassic Park.
7. What is it? Halloween's in like 5/4. It's in some weird.
Right.
Yeah,
We've already lost listeners over this.
No, it's
conversation.
interesting though, because it's a
It is
peek behind the
interesting,
curtain that nobody ever talks about, but I think is like an
Right.
open secret amongst the community because so many of these guys are doing it and they're getting away with it because nobody ever calls them on their bullshit. But
Right.
I mean, that's
I'm
what
trying to
I
think
did
with the
for our theme
Spider-Man.
song. I was like, "What's the show called?" It's the Remedial Film class. I was like, da 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 da. Oh, it's a theme song.
Right.
It's the
Oh,
words
what's
of
the
our
Simpsons? Do the Simpsons.
I don't even know.
The Simpsons, the Simpsons.
Oh, they do it.
the
They do it. They do it
Simpsons.
in the song. Right. They started off with that.
Yeah, they do. And that's Danny
Ah,
Elfman again, same as
Danny
Batman.
Elfman. Yes.
So it's not every movie. There's a lot of
Right.
movies with complex scores that you couldn't possibly, but these like iconic, like tentpole things. I mean, dudes, it's what they're doing, and it's amazing.
Jaws.
Oh, don't get me started on Jaws, Travis. I don't want to make you sad.
Okay.
I can't wait till we talk about Jaws.
You haven't cared before.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about Jaws, everybody. Just put that on your calendar. When you see Jaws coming up as our next episode, circle that baby in red.
Shit. That's some hat, Harry.
But yeah, I'm totally going to run that by John Carpenter if I ever get to talk to him and be like, hey, man,
Nice.
just a question. First of all,
Just make that the last question.
isn't
'cause I
this
don't
the
wanna
tough
get
guy
stuck
or the
on
tough ones theme from that Umberto Lenzi movie? Also,
Oh shit.
Halloween, 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 Halloween. Laurie's theme.
You know,
Yeah,
Laurie.
make that the last question.
I don't
theme.
know. I don't know, Dan, because it's a good theory, but I think that it might be a subconscious thing. I mean, it's a good question, but it's probably subconscious.
The ones that really get me are Superman, because holy moly. I mean, like it's Superman. And then Batman,
Superman.
89. I'm just like, I don't know. Why is it all of a sudden just 2 notes instead of 3? Because it's Batman. Batman. Batman.
I don't know.
I love the idea that the lyric sheet would be printed out just literally just the word Batman over and over again. I'm on board. I'm not complaining about Danny Elfman.
I'm going to call that one a reach.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I like the Superman one though. Definitely.
The thing. The thing.
Dum dum. dum dum.
Oh, it's a cool theme. It's not one that I can like listen to without doing something else. Like I couldn't sit there and like
Right.
stare at a screen while the visualization bounces to that little note. But if I'm cleaning
I
the
don't
house
know.
or cooking dinner, like I'll listen to some of the thing now and
Pop
then.
that shit on. Yeah.
Get some Friday the 13th Part 3 disco theme. Hells yes. Tenebrae. You guys haven't watched Tenebrae yet, but it's got a good theme too. Mm-hmm. Little Profundo Rosso on there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I've got a heck of an Amazon playlist. Can I share that publicly? If I can, I will. Tubular Bells.
Mm.
Hells yes. That bass solo. I'm stopping while I'm doing the fake air bass. Doon doon doon. Ba doo bo doo doo doon doon. Boom boom doon 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 doon. Hells yes. Hells yes. Did we watch a movie tonight?
We did. Some would say one of the best John Carpenter movies ever made.
Let's talk about music some more. Just kidding.
Hey George, if you were a
What?
critic in 1982, so if you're a critic in 82, George, how are you going to react to this movie? Is it a thumbs up from you? Everybody go grab your kids, grab your wife, go watch The Thing?
He's going to say, hide your kids, hide your wife.
They're a thing and everybody around here?
And hide your husbands because they know everybody up here.
Well, he already said.
I don't know. I don't know.
If a movie says, what the F did I just watch? Then it's not the kind of movie you probably would say, oh, you got to go see this. But then again, you might say, dude, you got to go see this because I don't know what I just watched.
Yeah.
You know? That's the way movies were back then.
Yeah, I think I would probably review it well. I'd give it like 4 tomatoes or whatever.
Is that out of
But-
5 or out of 50?
Out of 5.
I don't know how many tomatoes there are.
My son is obsessed with, well, what did they get on Rotten Tomatoes? I'm like,
Dude, screw
don't
Rotten
know.
Tomatoes. Watch the freaking movie and
just
decide
watch
for
the
yourself.
movie, yeah. Think
Yeah.
for yourself.
I mean, I give it like 4 out of 5, and and like I said, dude, any movie that like surprises me is kind of cool in my book. Like anything that's original enough to surprise me is cool.
I have to say, watching it now, I forgot how good, like, the acting in it.
The acting is
I mean,
fantastic.
It's so good.
There's not one person in this movie that didn't do their homework.
Yes.
Like, you can see shit going on in their behind their eyes. They're not saying a word, and they've all done their homework.
Yep.
That's all I ask.
Everyone's good.
Yeah, I
in
don't
this one.
ever say, well, no. If that's what they do, even if it's a shitty movie, I can't pick on the acting. They made sure I couldn't pick on any acting in this movie. Even the dog was good.
Even the
Yeah.
dog was good. And
Yep.
that monster thing with the tentacle legs and the upside down head. I mean, his motivation was set from the beginning. There was no question.
Upside down head spider.
Minus the remote control exit, it was perfect.
Oh, man.
Like when I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that
man,
was-
it should have
yeah.
been edited. It almost had the same problem that eventually we're going to see with Jaws, where it's like editing. Alien was the same thing. Like editing is where you create your monster.
Yep.
If you just take a little frame here and there, or maybe a couple seconds, it totally changes it. And I think because that line hits so hard when he says, when the head's leaving the room.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the line he says? You gotta be fucking kidding me!
Right.
Like, and the fact that he was infected when he said that, which I have questions. But like, was he trying to divert attention from himself or whatever? Because only a scene later they do the blood test, so he's infected when he says that. But the line is so damn good that you could have easily just shown just a little bit of that thing leaving the room, cut to his face, instead. Like, they left the camera on that thing a little too long, and you saw the legs kind of,
Yeah.
it looked like he was playing the piano. Because then when he hits it with the flame, it's fine. It was just that exiting the room just was a little too comical.
Yeah. Well, see, it's funny because like they did it right through like the whole beginning of the movie. Like you see
Just enough.
just angles of it, but you don't really see the whole thing, and it's and you're kind of on the edge of your chair, like, just show it to me for God's sake. Like, so they did it right. And then, yeah, I
think they got cocky because the head leaving the body
was so good.
Solid.
Yeah.
The head slouching to the ground. And then when those legs came out, like, it looked like a real spider. Like, the legs.
Didn't they come out from under a desk mostly? That was a good call.
Oh, when it hit under the desk, it looked good there too.
Yeah.
It was just they got cocky and they're like, let's have it leave the room. And it's like, your technology's not there yet.
Yeah, you're right. It just like a shadow of it would have been fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they could have animated that.
In the editing bay, you might need it to match cut to where the fire is, though, when they hit it with the flamethrower. So without that, you may have like this weird spatial jump that it's like, oh, we'll just bite the bullet and have the funny legs because at least it gets to the spot where we burned it.
Yeah.
You could show a shadow of it going that far.
Well, it was 82, right?
But then you'd have to reshoot a shadow.
They could have did a stop motion at that distance and it would look better. Just the remote control car moving with the legs kind of just didn't work for me. I was like, it's a no.
I hear you, but it's like one thing
But
in
it was
an
one
entire
thing.
movie.
I mean,
yeah.
I love Clash of Titans, and it's got a lot of that crap in it.
Dude, it was an upside down head spider.
I love when it's peeking out from underneath the desk.
Yeah.
I look at that, I'm like, that's good. But when the legs come out, like you get the first section to the knuckle, and then the second section comes out and it just gets really big, and you can see it's hard to make a spider legs look real, and it looked real. So I was cool with that. It was just leaving the room. I was like, just that one thing.
Upside down head spider.
Good shit.
Imagine reading that in my review of Rotten Tomatoes.
In 1982, when your pretend Rotten Tomatoes is like a fanzine that you have to send out to people, typewritten and Xeroxed or ditto copied.
Ditto copied and folded down the middle
to
make it look like a booklet.
It's like, this movie I have 4 words for you. Upside down head spider. Go watch it.
It's worth your $1.75.
4 out of 5.
Right. It's worth $3.75.
4 out of 5 stars.
Bring your barf bag.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My wife, who has a strong stomach for these kind of things, spent the entire second half of the movie just saying over and over again, gross, gross,
Yeah.
gross. Just variations on a theme for the whole rest of the movie. It was great.
Well, yeah. What's the name of that character that says that line and then turns at the blood test? I can't remember his name, but his transformation was solid too. And then when he bites the other guy in the head and picks him up, I was like, holy shit! like you said, it's just off the chain.
Yeah, it sets like an
Who thinks of this?
expectation, and then it exceeds its own expectation immediately by like 2 or 3 fold. Like it doesn't go to 11, it goes to 30, and it's just like, damn, they went there.
But then in its subtlety, it was fine. Like that was in your face, blatant, boom, mouth opens, bites the guy's head off, and it's like just swinging him around. But prior to that, with the Bennings out in the snow, very subtle.
Yep.
Just his hands are creature, and he turns and looks at him. And he does that moan. That's like iconic, and that's just as solid as the full practical, craziness. It's just as scary.
You know what I thought when he was, when the, we'll call it the thing. I was going to call it an alien, but it's really just the thing.
An alien thing?
It is an alien, I guess. When he's swinging that guy around by his head, I don't know. Like, I noticed that he kept hitting light fixtures.
Right.
Yes.
And you wanted to go fix them because you're an electrician?
No,
Oh.
no. I thought of the 50s, and I
Okay.
was like, if this thing gets electrocuted because it hits, like, a light fixture that's on, and it gets electrocuted through this guy who he's holding with his mouth by his head, that would be cool. And it didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Or it was a perfect opportunity to tease those of us in the audience who'd seen the original while leaving the rest of the crowd like without the fan service.
Yeah.
Would have been fun though.
Light fixtures.
I like that.
Like he keeps hitting the light fixtures. Just get a toe in one of those light fixtures,
Just
please.
get one. Just aim it.
It's very much though that it's a different version of that Tom Savini thing from Friday the 13th Part 1, right? The axe hits the light fixtures. We talked about this multiple times. But the real axe hits the real light, and it looks violent and horrible. So when you see the axe in the effects shot, you think, oh, God, that's a real axe, because my brain just saw it hit a light. Only this time,
Yeah.
instead of an axe, it's a person, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
Just a little extra violence.
So my question, your opinion, George, were either McGreedy or Childs infected at the end?
I don't know. Don't matter.
What do you mean it don't matter?
Doesn't matter. The whole world's fucked. The whole world's fucked anyway.
True.
Whether it's aliens or nuclear war or viruses or whatever, the whole world's fucked anyway.
What do you think, Dan? Because it's a bone of contention.
I think the key to it is that they are both willing to take a seat and keep an eye on each other without running.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, like, sacrificing themselves, whether infected or not, just to be sure that nothing gets off Antarctica.
Okay. So whether one's infected, both infected, they're going to wait it out, as they say.
And if they're neither infected,
right,
they're doing the right thing, even if it's a tragic ending. I thought George would like the ending. He'd be all like, yeah, man, that's sad. They all died. Yeah. Isn't that how that works?
Well, they didn't necessarily die. I mean, I guess they did.
Oh, they're super screwed, man. They've got no power.
for
They've
me,
got no transport. They are
right,
going to
and
be
the
dead.
heat's going away. Like, I was thinking if Childs, McGreedy's not infected. So, but there was an opportunity for Childs to be infected by, I can't remember the name of the character, Blair, the Wilford Brimley, the guy they isolated up in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a time that he could have been infected, but then he had an earring, so I'm assuming he wasn't, because it can't replicate metal.
Yeah, but like, I don't get it, man. Is the thing its own thing, and it can make itself look like something else or make itself into something else, or does it get into something?
It has to, based on the dog scene, it has to be in contact with.
Right, but does
to
it
replicate
have to,
it.
Does it have to get into? Because if you can be infected and not know it.
That was my other question.
Right. I don't know if you can be. They didn't really say. If you can
Right.
be infected with this alien, this thing, and not know it, then yeah, he could be infected and still have an earring. But was he a replica? No, he wasn't, because he had an earring.
Right.
But could he be infected if being infected is a thing with the thing?
Right.
Yeah, it could have been.
Right.
So
Yeah, because those are my two big questions were, do you know you're infected when you're complete? Because their behavior is questionable. The people that were infected. They were still kind of acting like they were part of the group to kind of blend in. But do you know you're infected? Like, do you know as a person you're dead and the creature is just trying to blend?
I don't know if anybody knows that they're dead, but
I see dead people.
But
They're walking like regular people.
yeah, I mean, if you can be infected with the alien and not know it, then the hot copper scene has a lot more weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it seems like the looks on all their faces was, I hope I'm not.
But the guy that was infected, not Norris because he was already gone, the one who starts shaking,
Yeah.
Right.
he makes a face like, all right. Like, he makes a face like he knows that this is
Right.
not going to end well. So it's like, it's one of those things you want to talk to either a screenwriter or a Carpenter to find out if they. I tried to, when I was listening to commentary, I was trying to see if they said that, but I didn't listen to the whole thing. I want to go back to that blood test scene and see if they say it. Because
Yeah.
visually, he's saying, I'm infected.
But is that the actor's choice? Or is it the
Right.
direction?
So
We don't
the
know.
actor makes a choice, or yeah, exactly. If the director's like, you need to act like you know this is not going to end well, or if the actor is like, yeah, I'm making this bold choice as a visual representation of what I'm thinking, and they kept it. So if you watch it, it's pretty funny. His face is pretty funny. But just the scene prior, he made that comment when the thing was crawling out of the room, like, you gotta be, like, his reaction was very human.
Right.
So it's just, it's always been a question in my mind.
Yeah, it's a question in my mind too. I don't know.
They keep the action moving forward to the point that, like, you're never going to get the answers you want. You're just going to have to speculate. But it's so much fun to take that ride that, like, it doesn't sour the experience not having that information. And that's John Carpenter, man. He knows what he's doing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, George, the new one is set in Antarctica. The old one is set in Alaska.
The old one is set in Uncle Arctica.
Yeah, no.
I'm shaking my head, but it's not a video podcast, but I wish it were.
Okay, well.
Do you have any ideas why they would have moved it? Why is it in Antarctica now, besides the fact they can now dig down deeper for the crash site so you can get your rappelling down the ice? But why else? What's that all about? Do you have any ideas?
To be quite honest with you, they could have dug down that deep on the North Pole, and I wouldn't have known any different.
Fair.
I wouldn't have been. I've been like, oh, the ice. You know, if you were like, you know, push up your glasses.
Yeah.
The ice isn't that deep in the North Pole. I'd be like,
Not
whatever.
anymore.
It's kinda like-
yeah.
It's kind of like the Pasadena walls.
Hey,
yeah. I'd be like,
Pasadena thin walls are very important.
It's that Pasadena ice is what it is up there in the North Pole, or Alaska or wherever. Why was it Antarctica and not Alaska?
Or why was it Alaska in the first place?
Because Antarctica was trademarked by another movie.
Yes. No. So, George, the original movie in the 50s, right? We're just wrapping up the Korean War. World War II is over. The world is as close to World War III as it will get until, like, the mid-'80s. Like, it is as dire a time to be an American as it is any other time in history, because we're being told every day, you know, the Soviets are going to invade Western Europe, right? Like, it's going to happen. The bad guys are going to come, and we are going to have to fight, and there's nukes now, and everything's going to suck, right? Here's the thing. The United States public has money and want to see movies. But much like right now, you and I don't really want to go watch a movie where a bunch of people wear masks and talk about COVID. Nobody wants to see a movie where we're, like, on the precipice of world-ending war with these evil Soviet Union folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they keep making over and over again in the 50s are movies with stand-ins for these evil foreign Soviets. So you get them and the giant tarantula movie and the giant praying mantis movie, the deadly giant mantis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you get this movie, The Thing, where there's an outside enemy who is an existential threat, but who can be defeated by our good American army guys who are in the same posts in the movie that in real life they're defending against the Soviets, right? That's why it's Alaska, because that's one of your outposts against Soviet aggression, right? We've all played Risk. It's right across the bay from Kamchatka.
I
and
can
so
see
I
Russia
can see
from my
from my
house.
You can see Russia from your house up there, I'm told. So
yeah.
the Cold War setting makes Alaska the perfect place, because you've got this, you know, the NORAD and SAC. Are you guys familiar with SAC, Strategic Air Command? It sounds funny, but it's very important. And all the
Yes,
concerns about the North Pole being one of the entry points for Soviet bombers, right? They're going to come over the North Pole like a Santa Claus with nukes, and they're going to deliver those packages to all the good boys and girls unless we stop them. Like, the Thing takes place in this area of concern, but instead of, you know, Soviet communists, it's plant-based seed pod men who walk around kind of like Frankenstein and get reverse Frankensteined into destruction, which is kind of fun, right? Because Frankenstein, electricity and then...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm following. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, in the 80s, things have calmed down a little bit. The Russians are bogged down in Afghanistan.
Thank you, Charlie Wilson.
So the 80s are a different time. So if they move it to Antarctica, they no longer have to have the U.S. military presence, right? Now, another thing that accomplishes is no longer are they themselves personally like offensive threats, right? Like these aren't a bunch of tough guys who can get out there and mix it up with whatever alien you bring to them. These are a bunch of nerdy scientists, a couple of hunky ones, but and one on roller skates
hot.
for some reason.
Yeah.
But
and
still,
a couple of flyboys.
they're a bunch of flyboys, right? It's just scientists. They don't have the offensive capability, so they're more at risk for anything that comes in. By making it Antarctica, you also have the ability to put the Norwegians in there as like a competing but friendly, non-combatant entity to then shock them with their violence as they come into the camp chasing that dog. So it takes away the existential threat of the Cold War, replaces it with just a general gonna destroy the world with its alien-tastic attack. So it's still existential, it's just different. It's no longer the Cold War panic of the 50s. And that's why it moves, and that's why it's, a lot of reasons why it's better in the 80s one, because they are no longer tough guys, they are just victims.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and a couple of them are just capable, but they're not, like, trained.
Right. And if you notice in the old thing, they have a lot of access to airplanes. Airplanes with skis on the bottom, which is kind of hilarious, but I guess probably functional. Unless the ski gets stuck, and then it really probably just jacks the whole thing up, right? Because if that ski... Ouch. Anyway, in this one, all they've got is helicopters, right? So even if you have the perfect conditioned helicopter, fully fueled, you're not getting to Argentina, right? Like you're getting a few miles to another airfield and hope that an airplane comes to save you. So that isolation really ratchets up. There is no escape for these guys.
Sure. Yep.
Just ratchets up the tension, man.
It definitely does.
I thought it was interesting that they mentioned, or that Mac mentioned, that the alien's strategy was to just get frozen until help arrives.
Yes.
I was like, that's a really interesting strategy for an alien.
Well, that was its plan B. Plan A was to build a craft and get to civilization.
Yeah.
And when that got shut down, its next move would be to just freeze until someone else shows up.
Yeah.
Point of contention, though. What if it was building the craft and it just wanted to go home?
That's true.
It's unlikely.
Possible. That's unlikely, but it's possible. Like, I don't think a craft like that gets you into the depths of space.
Nah, you don't know that.
You don't know, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was going to try to eat the world, but
They kind of implied that it crash landed, so we don't know if it even wanted to be there. So yeah, maybe it was just kind of a refugee.
It was just E.T. trying to phone home, man.
Yeah. Got left behind, carrying too many plants.
Now I have a whole different view of Upside Down Head Spider.
You should.
Just trying to get home.
Just trying to get home, man.
Just like, trying to grab the RC car,
looking
Uber home.
It was looking for its speaking spell.
He's a sympathetic character, man.
Yeah.
He had those little droopy eyes, too. He was like, hey.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And anytime it drank beer, one of the other guys got drunk. It was really weird.
And had the Sarah McLachlan music playing in the background. You feel bad. You just adopt the head with the spider legs. Yeah.
Now, we can say all we want about the special effects in the 80s one, because they're awesome. But
sure,
there is a moment, and I made you watch it, George, in the 50s one that blows my mind from like an OSHA standpoint and like a
when they set them on fire.
They have a shot in that movie where, okay, fire stunts are scary, but amazing. The key when you watch a fire stunt is to watch how long it is between the shot you have and the next cut, right? Because
yes,
they just do a bunch of them in a row and then splice them together because no human can be on fire for that long. Spoiler alert. Generally, they don't try to kill the actors. They try to let them survive for take 2.
Don't try this at home.
But I do that. So sometimes if you see someone like underwater in a movie, you might hold your breath to see if you can hold your breath as long as they can. I find myself subconsciously counting the Mississippis between cuts just to see how long each burn was, because some of those, a certain movie we'll be seeing in October or so, there's one, it's a good 6 or 7 seconds, and you're just like, are we going to cut? Like, that guy's on fire. Like, let's get this. Anyway, The Thing has something I've never seen in any other movie, and that is a man on fire being doused with a bucket full of accelerant. Holy shit, guys.
Yeah.
He's on fire, and they throw like kerosene on him, and the whole room goes, oh my god, so dangerous. Like, oh, I can't believe they did it. And I watched it 2 times today just to be like, yeah, there's no way to fake
That's
it.
something Kane Hodder wouldn't even do.
Oh my god, Kane Hodder wouldn't. I mean, we should ask him if he would do that. Actually, I'd like to get his opinion on that.
Is Hodder the Jason that has like the fire stunt fetish?
He's the one that threatened to kill you.
He's
No, yeah, I know.
He's the one they
that
lit
threatened
on
to kill
fire
me.
in part 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the one that had like he had burns, and so like
Yes.
he kind of tries to conquer fire by getting set on fire on purpose and surviving.
He's
It's kind of
definitely
like his thing.
I think I've never heard him say that he's got like a thing for it. Like, ooh, yeah, light me up. But he is the one that had the fire accident and is very respectful of what fire can do, but also very willing to be set on fire in a Jason
He
suit.
also but he faces it basically,
He's
I'd
so
be
cool.
which
curious
is
to-
cool.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'd be curious to find out if that was actual, like, fuel they were throwing on the. Like, you know how when you have a grease fire, and they say, no way should you pour water on it because it just makes it.
Oh, you think it's not accelerant, but instead like a
Um,
distributing agent?
yeah, I'm wondering if because I know I've seen footage of like a grease fire on a stove, and then the person throws water on it, and it engulfs the entire friggin' wall.
right.
I'm wondering if maybe that's what they did. So it looked like it was accelerating, but it actually was just making it.
Well, in that case, wouldn't water be an accelerant if they were using a grease fire base?
Yeah, but it's not gasoline.
Well, the question is it an accelerant or is it a spreader, right? Like a distributor,
I don't know.
redistribution. Well, I'm going to watch the clip real quick, and I'm going to tell you what happens. Hi, this is Dan in Post, and I just pulled it up on YouTube. It's called The Thing from Another World 1951 Fire Scene on YouTube. It's 1 minute and 5 seconds from Boy. At the 29-second mark, you can tell that it just, as soon as it hits him, the stuff they throw on him lights up and creates more fire. It doesn't spread. So I'm going accelerant. Anyway, back to the show. Oh no, that is absolutely kerosene or something, because it hits him, and then the fire shoots straight up and also off the back of him. Like there is more fire after than before. It's not spreading. I don't know. I'm some kind of authority on kerosene, but looks like an accelerant to me, guys. Holy shit, it's gross and awesome. Don't do that, guys. Do not try that at home.
Do not
Oh.
light aliens on fire.
I mean,
Don't
yeah,
try
okay.
that anywhere.
If you find a plant-based alien, light that fucker up. Nobody's going to be mad at you. But
that's true.
otherwise,
Just go right
But
for
for
the
God's sakes,
electricity.
be careful.
Yeah.
now in that clip where he's about to attack and right before they zap him, right? There's actually a part where the scientist that's like the interloper who keeps trying to sabotage their fight because he wants to study the alien.
Mm-hmm.
Right before he turns off the power, the Thing appears and breaks through like a barrier wall that they'd set up, like it was a door barricaded shut.
Mm-hmm.
His physical movements from that moment until he hits the part where the electricity goes out, his physical movements are very reminiscent of what they did with Jason in part 3. And I've always thought that people say, oh, these slashers kind of move like Frankenstein. It's like, but they don't, right? They don't have the zombie shoulders, and they don't have the stiff movement. They just kind of move kind of ploddingly and kind of, the opposite of agile. And I would attribute that to the work of the guy in the Thing suit, because what he's doing is very just like powerful but clumsy, and his physical stature is very similar to Jason in part 3. Go check that clip out at some point and just think about Jason 3, because I'm thinking that's where they get it.
I'm surprised you want to think about Jason 3.
I know. It fails in so many ways, but it does have the Thing Jason.
Jason 3 is reverse wheelchair luge, right?
No, that's Jason 2.
That's
No,
2.
Dude.
2.
Jason 3 is the one that was shot in 3D and like...
Right. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Now, I did send you a clip, and I don't know if I kept it, but originally the caption on this YouTube clip that I uploaded was, "Why am I making you watch this?" So hit that clip real quick and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so why did I make you watch a clip with some just kind of irrelevant to our conversation dialogue? There's a point at which the camera like swings to the right, follows the actors, and sets in a very specific, almost Argento style set piece. Door swings open. You've got 3 dudes standing in front of a metal door. Do you notice what's dead center in frame? The meat cleaver. Right in the window between the 2 center guys' heads. The meat cleaver is actually the center object.
Okay.
And so it's like, you can't show real violence, right? And you really can't even threaten violence this early in the movie because you don't really know what is happening, right? So far, it's just a regular routine. What's this big block of ice? Maybe we got a spaceship. But that cleaver is put right there and it shines in the light. And it's meant to like set up this feeling of like unease and danger. And I think it's really cool and subtle. And my kids were like, there's a butcher thing on the wall. What's that mean? So I think it's awesome, but it might be too subtle to be interesting to anyone but me.
Yeah, too subtle. I didn't even catch it.
But it's right there center frame, right in the window of their heads, and right where the camera turns. Like, it's a really well-designed shot because it's motion to a spot, but he knows where the spot is. Good cinematography. It's good. I'll put a link in the description so everybody can watch it. I'm going to call it, Dan thinks this clip is cool. George thinks it's dumb.
Looking at these clips makes me want to watch Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ooh, yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Follow that with Humanoids from the Deep. What's up?
Shit. What? Creature with boobies.
So what do you think, George? Are you a fan of The Thing? Does it register up there with a Halloween and a Silence, or is it more like a middle of the road for you?
I would say middle of the road for me. It's definitely not as good as Silence.
I don't think it competes with Silence
I don't
at all.
think so either.
2 different movies. Completely.
It's a good movie though.
I would ask it more like
See, sci-fi is not like it's not usually my bag.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. I'm kind of new to it.
What about this between this and Werewolf?
I liked Werewolf better.
Okay. Because it's kind of the same time period. 2 of my favorite directors.
But
2 of my favorite movies.
But you really can't compare them either because Werewolf had
Comedy.
I don't know. Yeah, Werewolf was more, I don't want to say like complex, but like there were more facets to it than just this stressful situation. You know, yeah, it was stressful, but it was also funny and it was also, you know.
I'm going to say, because of the drama that went around this movie, sit it on your shelf for a little bit and then go back to it. Watch it again.
Yeah.
When there's no pressure.
Right
Just
after you rewatch RoboCop.
I think that like the movie Alien is kind of like this.
Yes.
Where it's like serious sci-fi.
This is a straight up horror movie. The only science fiction here is the fact that it's an alien. It's a horror movie. This is like a slasher film. This is like a stalker slasher film. This thing is stalking them, bumping them off one at a time, basically.
You could make this with
infiltrating
werewolves.
the house.
This could be werewolves, vampires, zombies. Like it, yeah. The structure itself is horror. It's just got more of a cool scientific element because they're scientists and stuff.
It feels science fiction because of the outer space element.
Yeah.
But when you look at the creature, visually, aesthetically, the drive that this, what the characters go through, the suspense, it's a horror movie.
Okay.
And it kind of plays by the old Agatha Christie rules, right? Like, and then there were none. Who's the killer?
Just narrow it down.
Narrow it down. Eventually, Giallo steals that formula quite a bit, but it was Agatha Christie first.
But see, this movie does that better because, or does it well, because not only are they doing the everybody's guilty, no one's guilty, everybody's the killer, nobody's the killer, but they're taking these characters and that whole not knowing, the whole trust thing, because it's in all their faces. It's not just in our face; it's in all their faces. I don't know. This guy standing right across from me could be a creature that will turn and eat us all.
Travis, you don't know. I could be a creature.
Exactly. So it's like when you have that tense feeling of, we're doing this blood test. One of you, 2 of you, 4 of you, 10 of you could be a creature. I don't know.
Should we do this blood test like before we let anyone in our house?
I would.
It's not a bad idea. You got plenty of hot wire. Just light that stuff up.
Yeah.
You got a heat gun, right? You don't have a flamethrower, but you have a heat gun.
I have a stove.
You got some copper wiring. Do it. Do it up.
It's like, you stand out here. Here's a scalpel. I'm going to need like a good amount of blood.
I really don't like how they get the blood from the thumb.
Yeah.
Like, that's
The
cringy.
cut?
I don't like it.
Yeah, the cut's too much.
How else would you get that much blood?
You could get a
You don't need that much
vein,
blood.
man. Like, just needle.
I'm sure they had IV bags. I'm sure they had IV needles.
True.
Come on, guys.
I mean, the dirty scalpel across the thumb.
Oh, it's
That's
so gross.
dangerous.
I
When
mean,
you're
at
in
the
the
same
middle of
time,
nowhere.
it's a perfectly like wince-inducing gross moment for me. Like
Right.
they're doing that to me on purpose, and I guess I'm glad they did. But gross.
What's funny is the second guy actually puts a scalpel down and squeezes his thumb and taps out a little bit more blood.
Ugh,
He like squeezes and goes, "Weak," drop a little bit more.
so gross.
That shit would be pouring out if you took a scalpel to your thumb.
Ugh.
You wouldn't have to squeeze anything.
It's
out.
funny. That's the kind of stuff
Yeah.
that grosses me out. And like, I can watch a dude get split in half, and it's like, oh, that's fun. That's a fun effect. But the stuff that you can actually like empathize, right? Like I've cut myself before pretty good.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like. Boo. Like I don't want to see that happen slowly and like with, ew.
This
Yeah.
test could have been done with a finger prick drop
Yeah.
of blood.
They probably
need
could
to
have
be
done
a
the
whole-
test just by jamming a hot wire onto the guy's arm. Like,
Mhm.
ow, I'm an alien.
Mm.
Shoot.
I like the whole feeling of every time someone passed the blood test, that person gets a flamethrower and gets the help.
Yes.
Like when they do that, I'm like, that's pretty funny.
It's a
'cause
real
it's
us
like,
and them kind of thing.
yeah, because he basically McGreedy does a headshot on a guy who's not an alien. Like he says, you just committed murder. Like, and then 2 minutes later,
Well,
he did come at him.
I love that. He was coming at him with a
Mhm.
knife, right? So like he had to kill him.
It was justified.
Yeah. And so, but anyways, it's like, it's like, oh, so he was human, so you're a murderer, and he's like, just basically, it just like blows it off, like,
Right, he's
shut
like,
the fuck up, I
yeah,
got
shut
better shit to handle right now.
We're dealing with adult shit here.
Yeah, ooh, I murdered somebody. All right, let's figure out who's an alien here.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to sit at the grown-ups table? We all get flamethrowers.
But that's where Russell's so good. Like he does that shit in Big Trouble in Little China too. Like just that machismo
Yeah.
character. Like, you know what? Shut the fuck up and sit
Yeah,
down.
yeah, just
the adults are talking.
Well, I think we've had enough adults talking. Travis, why don't we tell George what he's watching next week?
It's not a Rambo movie,
Or is it?
or is it? We're gonna watch Poltergeist
mm.
From 1982.
82.
Do you know anything about Poltergeist, George?
No, but maybe yes.
What do you think you know about Poltergeist? Let's get you on the record for next week.
I think Poltergeist is one of those supernatural, like demonic possession type of movies. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I think I know, but I definitely have never seen it. So
Well, I think we should leave it at that, Travis.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, we're on YouTube and your favorite podcatchers, be them Apple or Spotify, Amazon or Stitcher, Podcast Addict, or just straight off the Podbean website. Catch up with us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod or join our group at facebook.com/groups/remedialfilmpod for interaction with the cast and announcements. And you can also email us, remedialfilmpod@gmail.com, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at remedialfilmpod. Join us next week as we venture back to the early 80s again with Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg's Poltergeist.